right, welcome back to another episode of the F1 Garage. My name is Ted.
I am listed as Jeff.
My name is Dylan.
And, and I'm here making my season 2 debut. I am Ryan, and I'm filling in for Jared this week, earning my producer credit. So, yeah. Ryan,
where's Jared?
Yeah. Oh, Jared, he's like bumming around on a beach somewhere. We're hoping having a terrible time. Yeah. None of us are in dramatically horrible winter climates, but yeah.
Maybe season 3 will start supporting each other and lifting each other up.
We need a whole year to prepare for that, though. So yeah. I think that's okay.
We're in our sophomore slump, maybe.
Yeah, this season's going to be really bad, listeners. Don't even bother. Did everybody hear that?
Would you fart?
No.
No.
Okay. Anyway, let's just keep going from here. All right. So on today's episode, we are going to be giving you some season predictions. And instead of going through our lists of drivers and teams, we're going to kind of break it down in a little format for you, starting with which team we think is going to win this year. Which for me is Red Bull. Big shock there. I think that's going to be pretty uniform. But yes, I think Mercedes are going to be the most improved team. They've already fixed their porpoising from last season, and they're going to bring an upgrades package to Azerbaijan, which should be pretty exciting. So hopefully we'll see them in some races.
Their Plan B package, right? To completely change the car, or
they said that they're not gonna run that anymore. That they're giving up on their Plan B because whatever they're bringing to Azerbaijan should be really impressive. So we'll see though.
Exciting.
Yes, and my surprise team is going to be McLaren, but not in a good way. I think that McLaren is going to surprise us in a bummer sort of way.
Ew.
And then the team that's going to struggle this year is obviously Williams.
Whoa, really? Wow.
I don't know. I made some outlandish claims, guys.
All right, I will I want to hear Dylan's.
Yeah,
sure. Okay. Winning team, Red Bull. You know, pretty safe, but given that there's no big changes this year with upgrades, it's really just carryover from last year's new parts and regulations. We should see the strongest team lead again. Most improved team, I'm going to put down Ferrari because, wow, there's only one way up from last year. I mean, yeah, so even if they don't win, at least they're going to improve and maybe get some strategies a little bit better, bring the tires to a pit stop, all that basic stuff. Biggest surprise team for me has got to be Aston Martin. We have heard a tremendous amount of rumors during the preseason, just how much they are blowing people away from all the timings, from all the, parts they've put on to the brand new green they're running. It just all around better package. Love to see how they're going to do. And a team that will struggle, I'm just going to slap it in the face there. It's going to be McLaren. Yeah. Just, orange team. It's just not going to do well. Those papayas, man. Yeah, I'll tell you. All right. Yeah. Jeff, what are you thinking?
I've got Ferrari winning.
Wow.
Yes. I have Aston Martin as the most improved from last year. I have Alfa Romeo as the surprise of the grid.
Oh, yeah.
And I also have McLaren as struggling. For sure. They clocked in the least amount of laps during testing. Very frustrated drivers. I mean, it seemed like the whole garage was upset.
The whole shebang.
Yeah. Not the good start.
Not the good start. All right, Ryan, what do you got?
All right, well, for Jared, bringing it back to the Red Bull bandwagon, that is the team that Jared has said will win this year. For most improved team, he's looking at Aston Martin to make a big jump. A lot of great signs of things to come there. And I think in the same vein, also sees Aston Martin as the team that will surprise the grid the most this year. And as far as struggling, it's been said before already, but McLaren, think the struggles in testing has been a bad sign, and looks like that might be the pick for who's going to struggle the most.
Fair enough, Jared. Thanks, Jared.
Anytime.
Yeah, there you go.
That's Jared voice.
You should fidget with your microphone a little bit more. That's a Jared tradition. All right, let's switch gears over to the driver. So the question being, which driver we think is going to win? And I think it's going to be Max. This will be his third championship in a row. If that becomes the case, only 5 drivers in history, including Max, will have won 3 championships in a row.
Who are they?
Well, Juan Manuel Fangio,
Okay.
Michael Schumacher, Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, and then it will be Max Verstappen for the 5th.
My man, good stuff.
I got it. I got us, boys. I got us on lock. Yeah, Jeff definitely knew that.
Seeing this big old brainy hat.
He's got to cover so much brain with that hat.
Could you imagine just my brain straight in this?
Oh, dude, your brain's out. Come on, push it. Can you do something about that?
Push it back in.
All right.
But hang on. I'm not done talking about Max. It'll be 3 technically, but there's an asterisk. Always an asterisk. I'm not bitter at all.
One more time.
An asterisk. So which driver will improve the most in 2022? I think it's going to be Pierre Gasly. Basically just on merit of switching to Alpine, but also he had a really bad season last season, and it since switching back from Red Bull, he had pretty impressive seasons with AlphaTauri for 2 or 3 years and ended up in top 10s multiple times. So yeah, I think he's going to have a great year this year. The driver that will surprise the grid is going to be Nick DeVries. I think based on where AlphaTauri is now, he's going to outperform the team expectations, which means that I think that Yuki is going to struggle the most in the second seat at AlphaTauri.
Or is he the first driver now?
He will be the second by the end of the year.
They're saying they're not picking first drivers anymore, but give it 2-3 races and I feel like we'll know right away.
Exactly. All right, Dylan, what do you got?
All right. I'm feeling pretty confident with also agreeing with Ted on a winning driver being Max Verstappen. Woo! We've got a most improved driver. I'm going to say Charles Leclerc. It's pretty straightforward. He had a lot of slip-ups, a lot of pole positions lost last year that should have been turned into wins. And with a most improved team that I also believe might be Ferrari, things could really start turning around. And we're going to go over to the biggest surprise driver, Fernando Alonso. The man is turning 42, and he might have just signed the best deal in Formula One, joining to almost a bottom feeder team that has the potential with growth and development, the amount they've invested in their facilities and aerodynamics, and they could very well be, top 3, top 4 team this year. So I'm going to say that's going to be a big surprise, and a driver that will struggle. I'm just going to say Logan Sargent. The man just made the cusp in Formula 2, Formula 3, wasn't a winner in either of those categories. He got thrown into a Formula 1 seat probably because he's an American. I'm just going to say it. And I don't have, the ball to drive myself, but I really want to see him do well. I'm just going to say, I just think he's going to struggle. Yeah. But that doesn't also say he can't improve. He's just going to struggle.
So, that's true. That's true.
Like Latifi style of struggling, or
like he's going to crash a lot, or is he just going to finish in the back of the pack a lot?
He's going to be a mix of Tsunoda's aggressive verbal usage and Latifi's on-track driving skills. It's going to be a best of both worlds.
So the worst driver of all time.
Potentially, catastrophically bad. I don't know, but
I like it, Dylan.
He's got an American mouth with a Japanese body. I don't know where I'm going with that. So who knows? It could be a mix of many different things. I want to see him succeed. He's an American. We're Americans here, and we want to see it grow. I just think it's going to be pretty obvious in the Williams car, which has historically been one of the worst teams. He's got a teammate alongside of him that's been in the Formula One for 4 or 5 years now. So he's going to struggle. Yeah. What about you, Jeff? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm agreeing with probably everybody with Max taking the win. My most improved driver, Valtteri Bottas.
Wow, I like it.
I think Romero will. I don't know. I like Alpha this year for some reason. And he, from my memory, he had a good first half of the season last year, and then it just fell off, and it was crap. So I'm hoping that he bounces back. He's got his new helmet, which is really cool, and I think he's ready to go fast, vroom, vroom.
Side note, that's only a preseason helmet, the one where his whole head is imprinted on it. So he's got a mustache, ears, and like glasses on. It's really cool. If you haven't seen it, viewers, you got to check it out. Valtteri Bottas is like literally his face printed on his helmet. It perfectly. It just looks like a monstrous baby head. It's hilarious. But
now we're on to surprise of the grid, correct? K-Mag.
Oh,
I think Kevin Magnussen will show up for Haas.
Nice.
And I don't know, perform okay. I mean, Haas through testing, it was kind of like iffy here and there, showed signs of potential for the season. And then, of course, Haas is Haas. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited for the team. And which driver will struggle? I have Gasly struggling.
Ooh,
I think
new
Ocon,
team.
Yeah, I think Ocon will outperform him. And that will later tie into my season wild card.
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go, Jared.
All right. So which driver will win? But to round it out with a complete 4 for 4, we're saying Max Verstappen as our winner, of course. Now, this is direct from Jared's notes and quotes here. So which driver will improve from last season? Sergio Perez will be where everyone thinks he should be. Verbatim.
Dude,
so wherever we all think he should be, that's where he'll be. It sounds like an improvement versus being not where we think he would be.
I think he means second. I think he means second, but I think we all think differently for Sergio.
I like that he's just going to be where you think he is. He's kind you think, therefore, Sergio Perez will be there.
Nice, Jared.
For which driver will surprise the grid? Jared has Fernando Alonso saying with the right car, he will be a force to be reckoned with. So that's his pick there. And for which driver will struggle? Again, tied to the car, but Lando Norris will do his best with a bad car, but is going to struggle.
Man, his favorite driver too.
I know,
dude. Jared,
that was a hard one for Jared to put on paper.
Is just shitting on his favorite team. I love it.
All right, now we're gonna bring you a season wild card. Don't go too wild, boys.
Wait, cards plural? Because I have like 6, but if we only have to pick 1 or 2, I get it. All right.
I only prepared 1 because there's only one that matters. But
you know what? Ted, rattle it off, man. All right. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that the Aston Martin hype is bullshit. I think that they're going to have a good couple of races here. I think maybe at Bahrain, they're going to be competitive. Like they look competitive right now. I just don't see them. Like Will Buxton said that they were going to finish ahead of Mercedes this year. And Mercedes was saying that they were the second best team on the grid. That all may be true now. I don't think that'll be true at the end of the season. So I just think that they're kind of going to end up being a bust. That's my wild card.
Good for you, Ted.
All right, I got a 2-part, because they're not really correlated or. All right, the first one's a bombshell. Max Verstappen announces retirement after his 3rd consecutive World Drivers' Championship, and he's going to take a hiatus, not a retirement, but just a hiatus, because he can afford to take time off, and any team will want him back after 1 year off. Unlike Daniel Ricciardo, it's like most teams would take him. But if you had Max Verstappen out of the entry pool with an open Red Bull seat, anyone would invite Red Bull into their team if he wanted to mix things up, I feel like. So that's just like a bombshell. But here's a wild card. Daniel Ricciardo to replace Yuki Tsunoda halfway through the season due to underperforming.
Whoa.
Nice.
I'm with it. anything that puts Ricardo back in the seat.
Anything, yeah.
That's what I hear when you say Max is retiring. I'm like, just put Ricardo back in that seat. That frees something up for him.
Or Vettel. That's what he's been waiting on. Just like Vettel returning to Red Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get that.
Okay, there will be at least 3 teammate DNFs this season.
Oh, nice.
I mean, there's I think 4 teams off the top of my head that I can foresee that happening to.
Oh yeah, easily. The top 4 teams right there. Boom.
Right. And then my other one is Checo will underperform and he will lose his job.
Daniel.
His job.
Daniel to replace Checo.
And then my other 4. I also put down a little Leclerc leading by points until Monaco.
Okay. All right.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time.
And then
there's more?
No.
Okay. You never know what's under that hat.
Just tons of ideas. Tons more ideas.
Jared's wild card is again verbatim that Ferrari is going to start looking good at the end of the season, which will be quite the surprise. So I guess that means not looking good at the beginning of the season, but will start to look good at the end, and that will be surprising.
Interesting.
Jared, this man goes on vacation, and so does his brain. Who knows what he's doing?
I need to text him and ask when he was writing these how many sangrias and margaritas and
margaritas in his seat right now. He's like, F1 and NASCAR will form an alliance. It's like, okay, Jared's getting
Jeff
crazy.
Gordon will be P1 in every race.
Oh man. All right, well, we're gonna be back in a second. Thank you, Ryan, for chilling with us, but we'll be back with more episode.
More episode inbound.
And welcome back. All right, guys, we are going to dive right into our talking points. There is a lot to cover as we are heading into the first race of the season. I got to drop a bombshell on you all. There's been fantastic news about one of our least favorite circuits on the calendar getting a major updates. In fact, not just an update. It's one of those corners, complex chicanes that has constantly been talked about as being just the worst thing about the entire track. Everything else is fine. I wonder if anyone out there can guess where I'm leading to. Yep, you guessed it. Spain is getting rid of the final sector they're just getting rid of the whole sector. It's just going to be a blank canvas, just gravel, grass, whatever. They're going to change that final chicane, that really twisty part where all the cars bunch up and no one can overtake down the straight, into just a nice, long, right-handed corner that's just going to lovely just bring all the cars right into full speed again. It's going to make the racing so much more close, intense. By the time they reach that final overtaking point in the first straight, heading to corner 1, there could be so much more cars bunched up than we've ever seen before. I'm so looking forward to that in all the great new racing we're about to experience in Spain. This could be a game changer for that track, guys.
Now, Dylan,
it's gonna be fun.
If you know off the top of the head, or Ted, is that turn that they're making, or they're taking away the chicane and adding a more kind of gradual turn, are they going to be stopping there for a second and then going full speed? Or are they going to be able to go full out through that turn too?
The thing is there's a ton of gravel runoff right in that corner. So I think the leading thoughts are that they're at least going to try to take that flat out.
Yeah.
So
or
it could
just leading up to putting their throttle full force around the corner. Maybe by the time they're halfway through it, it might be, full blast. And then, but the point is they're going to be on so much more speed coming out of that corner than ever before. And it's possible that 2 cars could go wheel to wheel through that final corner. We don't know yet.
In which case that won't be flat out, and that'll be more like Cop's corner at Silverstone, where we saw a pretty nasty crash 2 years ago.
Not quite at that same high speed because they went into it at full speed and through it at full speed. This is like they're coming out of one corner and then instead of two quick, left, right, lap, now it's just one long corner. It's going to be great. I am so looking forward to that.
Me too, Dylan. You know what else I'm looking forward to?
Yeah, what you thinking?
I'm looking forward to seeing how Red Bull plan on allowing both of their drivers to have differing setups in their cars this year. So oftentimes it's the cars will carry a similar setup between the two drivers, and in Red Bull in particular, they've always set their car up to Max's specifications, or at least traditionally in the past, which is why you've seen a lot of second drivers not do so well in that seat, thinking Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon.
Yeah.
Max happens to like his the balance of his car to be stronger in the front, so he wants to have like a grippier front end and then a loose back end because he can kind of control that. They're going to allow for Sergio Perez to get more of a balanced setup so that way he can have more control over the back end, which will potentially push him to go faster. So I think it'll be a pretty interesting thing to see, like, if other teams start to adopt this, so that way every individual driver can have a setup that they want on their own. But I think it'll be interesting to see how well Sergio does with his custom setup.
Big time. Yeah. I want to see him pushing for more wins. I want to see him competing against Max, not just being teammate to Max to try and help him out in any way possible. But yeah, more intensity. Bring it on. Let's go.
Yeah. Back to like 2018, 2017 Red Bull when Daniel Ricciardo was in the seat. I feel like that was the last time you saw two competitive cars at Red Bull. So
yeah,
we'll see.
But that could also be dangerous because if we think all the way back to Nico Lewis, if we have two number one drivers in the car and they both favor the setup, I mean, that's best case scenario for entertainment. Can I just say that? All right, we'll dive right into the next tidbit of news here. We got something with McLaren being seen in preseason testing. Now, this kind of started off the whole drama when Will Buxton reported after, I believe, the second day of testing, he saw Lando Norris just clobbering a wall, just punching it out of frustration. In fact, he went back to say it was just a gentle punch, but is there such thing as a gentle punch against the wall? Like, that could only mean one thing. There are troubles brewing in the McLaren garage. So let us hope things are going to turn around for him. Because like if Piastri ended up making the wrong call and Pierre Gasly got it right, then Zach Brown's just in a world of hurt. He just like dropped $5 million on Piastri and then 18 million on Daniel Ricciardo just to leave.
Broke his hand.
Yeah, if Lando would have broken his hand too, that would have put them really behind the back foot. So, hey, rule of thumb, don't punch a hard surface like that. Like, don't punch a wall.
Yeah, for real.
Just leave it at that. But yeah, like the problems at McLaren are going to be really interesting this year because they've always been a midfield team fighting for best of the rest. So this will be potentially the first time that they're not even going to be relevant.
True.
So I
think Lando was even comparing this car to last year's car almost identically, and he was very, very unhappy.
Yikes.
And the car is ugly. Man, on the grid, that car is really ugly.
It looks worse now that I've seen it.
Yeah.
Like, in daylight. I'm just
not
like,
at the press release of it all, but it looks terrible now. Like actually in the light.
Yeah, for real.
Put a bag over it.
It's a two-bagger. But going back to Red Bull really quick, Red Bull have made hints that they are going to be looking to sell off AlphaTauri or potentially do something different with AlphaTauri. So currently it is the Scuderia AlphaTauri, which is like an Italian-based team. It's viewed as the Red Bull second team, and a lot of the Red Bull Academy drivers end up driving at AlphaTauri before they make it into a Red Bull seat. But Red Bull's doesn't find value in having that second team anymore. So they're either looking at selling the team, potentially moving the team to England and getting it out of its current state. And there's been a lot of speculation about who that's going to be. We know about Andretti potentially being a suitor for AlphaTauri. High Tech GP is another one. And then even the concept of a Honda full works team, because Honda has history with AlphaTauri. So if they wanted to pick up a team, that would be a logical one for them to do that with. So there's some options for new teams to be coming in and taking over the AlphaTauri, which I kind of have always hated that they've been the Red Bull second team. That's the only team on the grid that has a second team.
Because when we think Alfa Romeo or Williams, McLaren, we don't think Mercedes or Ferrari second teams or Haas, because they're all running those engines. But Toro Rosso, which then became AlphaTauri, has just always been the sister Red Bull.
They've been a punching bag, and they've been used and abused by Red Bull. It's
a feeder team really for Red Bull.
For sure.
That's it.
Which, like, at the highest level, that shouldn't be the case. If you want to have a feeder team, put them in F2 or F3. Like that makes the most sense. Obviously they can get away with it, and it's better for their junior drivers to get F1 experience, but I would rather have there be an independent team in that spot. So I think this is good news overall. Wouldn't you agree?
It also opens up a big loophole, because if Andretti doesn't want to start a brand new team and have to pay that $700 million entry fee, all they have to do is buy out this Honda team, skip that whole entry process, save that $700 million, and then invest that right back into the team. So that could be a very easy way of doing things instead of creating a new team from the ground up. Who knows?
Absolutely. Well, we kind of talked about it already, but the Mercedes team has announced that they are not going to be going ahead with their plan B to introduce side pods halfway through the year.
It's just interesting that they started off a season, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think I've ever really heard this from any teams, of coming in with a plan A, plan B, because maybe the first plan might not work out. They're already dedicated enough to having a backup plan, because either they're that on top of a completely new change in their car that they're confident it's going to work, or it's so out there crazy new that they might have a fallback plan B, which is just going to be the exact Red Bull replica with black and teal paint. Who knows? But it's cool that they have options. Maybe that's just because they have that much money.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah.
Who knows? And they got
plans. They got plans.
Yeah. The new plan includes bringing a set of upgrades to the Baku, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku, and that'll be the fourth race of the year. So, right, because there's Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Melbourne, and Baku, right?
Yeah,
I think so. So yeah, they may struggle in these first couple weeks, but this all could just be sandbagging at the end of the day too. Like Mercedes likes to do,
I think it is,
preseason and in testing. So could be that they're way off, that they're 6-7 tenths a lap off, or they could be 2 tenths off. We have no clue, because
that's classic Mercedes. They're always downplaying. They're always saying we have a very challenging season ahead of us. Yeah,
seems like all top 3 teams right now are playing that. Like, I don't understand how it's helpful for your team or for your driving season to come out as George Russell and be like, yeah, we don't really have a chance this year with Ferrari and Red Bull. I understand why you would do that and tell media that, but I don't understand why. Like, maybe
why can't you just be neutral? Like, well, we'll see.
Yeah, it's just like,
it'll be up there.
If it's not just you're just trying to get in people's heads and trying to undersell yourself as a driver so that you come out and just take over.
He's a young Mercedes driver. He'll get there.
Yeah. So like, this is the kind of season where it's like, it would make sense for Mercedes to sandbag, because they were so bad last year. And if they've figured something out and they're going to be a competitive team this year, and they don't want to let off that they're going to be a competitive team this year, that makes sense to sandbag. They've done it every year for the last like 8 years when they've been the best car, and everybody just is calling bullshit and they're crying wolf, Toto Wolf.
Nice.
But yeah, so like this would make sense to be a good year to try sandbagging, but like we just don't believe them.
Right.
And also, like, it doesn't mean that they're going to be good right off the bat. They could still struggle mightily. So,
Yeah,
we just don't know with them. Another team we don't know about, but they're looking like the real deal is Aston Martin. I made my prediction that their hype isn't legit, but do you guys think it is?
All right, just hear me
They
out,
have
guys.
a 2-time world driving champion at the helm of a brand new car that they've put a ton of time, energy, and money
even
into.
beside, yeah, but okay, they have two. Okay, they have one great driver. They have two solid drivers, right? Aston Martin, though, has been a team that's kind of been playing that fifth, fourth place role for the last couple of years, which means they have so much more aerodynamic time to build and develop their car. And ever since Lance Stroll bought out and changed the team into Aston Martin, he has invested somewhere up to $500 to $750 million into facilities, all these development programs, their aerodynamic wind tunnels. And because they've been on the back end of these aero trains means they have more time than the top three teams to develop their car. It could very well be a dramatic change in seasons, as we have a car now that may be identical in all the best parts of the Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes from last year, because it's been a team where they just photocopy previous winning teams before, and they could have all of the perfect elements together for success. Now, I'm not saying they will,
Aston Martin
but
going to compete with
The
Mercedes.
hype, guys, the hype is real. So be on the lookout for at least Fernando Alonso in the top 5. I'll just leave it at that,
Yeah.
It's possible. They could break that top 3. They could be best of the rest with a long shot, But
yeah. I think we're going to find something out about both Lance and Lawrence Stroll, to be honest, this year. Like, Lance has had, he's a veteran at this point. He's been around for years, like 5-6 years, something like that. So he's been around. He's always had a bad car. He's been on Williams and Racing Point and Aston Martin when they've been bad. So if you give him a good car, is he going to be able to compete? Like, is he going to get results? And then if he doesn't, I'm going to be looking at Lawrence to see what he does with that seat, because is he loyal to his son, or is he loyal to a return on investment or success for his team?
I don't know. True. Lawrence seems pretty brutal, so I don't. But that's the thing too, is Stroll has been, listed as the worst driver by many year after year after year. So how much grace is he going to give his own son? When is it going to be time to actually cut?
But we have to remember, guys.
Yeah.
Fernando Alonso is only in the car because Papa Stroll doesn't have to pay his son, right? He puts all that money into Fernando. So
that's true.
It makes sense why they can have such an experienced 2-time drivers champion and then some guy named Lance Stroll, So, but like, I think they would have bankrupted the team if Vettel and Alonso would have joined the same team, that's just way too much money. So there's always going to be an experienced driver and there's always going to be a young driver at a team like that. That's where I think it's going to go. But if he doesn't perform compared to his teammate, Fernando blows it out of the water and Lance is crashing all the time. Papa Stroll's going to have to make, a Red Bull move and replace him, get rid of him. Because if they have a car that performs and a driver that isn't, there's no quicker way out in this sport.
And I feel like, after the level of investment, like, I know that they have a long-term vision for the team and like they're still years away. But if they have a great start to the season and Fernando gets some results, especially if Mercedes is struggling at the beginning of the year and they end up in third or maybe even second place at the beginning parts of the season, I think he's going to have like we're going to win now type of a mentality and like kind of go all out this season and maybe even bring in somebody new other than his son. That would be wild. I would not speak to my father for. Actually, no, I would if I were Lance Stroll because he owes everything to his dad, including his future.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
true that.
Dylan, what's
Should we dive into some cool Haas stuff going on?
Yeah.
So we noticed something really cool this year during preseason testing. First off, all of the orders of garages are completely changed because it comes down to the order of last year's standings. So now we have a Red Bull at the front, which means they have that long turn into park. Mercedes is like third, but all the way down at the Haas garage, we saw something really cool. Or maybe it's just weird. I don't know. But normally they'll have like 5 or 6 people sitting on the opposite side of their garage, kind of against the track. There is the tiniest little, cutest little tent right outside the Haas garage that only had 3 seats. 3.
You say cute. I think
Gunther
it looks
Steiner.
like a porta potty.
It does, dude. It just looks like they forgot their tent, and they just like, well, I can run down to the store and grab something real quick because we need somewhere to sit. So it's a tiny little 3-seat setup. But the really cool thing is, and I don't know if it was Gunther Steiner himself to go on to say, it might even be smaller over the year goes on, because what they're allowing for by having a smaller kind of pit garage is saving $250,000 in logistical transportations every year. Instead of having 6 seats, they only have 3. And if they can reduce that down to, imagine just 1 seat for Gunther Steiner with 1 TV, and they're saving $1 million a year by not having to ship all this stuff. And then all of a sudden they have so much more money to reproduce into the car. It's like, it's either very smart or they're just, I don't know. Why are they already cutting corners? They just got 3 new title sponsors with MoneyGram. Right. They got like Chipotle and another one that was just announced. So it's interesting to have all this money coming in, and they're already looking for ways to cut back. Or maybe that's just been in the blood of Haas. Right. Cut corners where we can. Save that money for something else. So
as a fan of Haas, as a fan of Haas, I would love it if it was just Steiner by himself, and he's just on the phone with Gene Haas the whole time.
I need to call Gene now. Yeah.
Gene, we look like a bunch of fucking wankers.
Sorry, Gene. Very disappointing today. As you saw.
Hey, at least no one can slam the door on him if there's 1 seat. Yeah.
They can just spin
that was pretty
around.
Cool. But just teams are already looking at ways of cutting back and saving money moving forward. As every dollar counts. It's budget caps are for real.
The new budget cap,
yeah.
Seriously,
so Haas didn't hit its budget last year. Like it's 145 million or whatever for the budget, and they didn't even get to that 145 million. But this year with this new thing, Chipotle and MoneyGram
alone,
they're able to hit their budget for the first time ever.
Which
so this
also means. Sorry to interject. I just want to mention how important it is that Haas can finally start bringing developments to their car during the season.
Yes. Right.
Let's go back. Okay, 2 years ago, 2020, 1 year before the new car was supposed to drop, they didn't invest a dime into the car all year. They had Mazepin and Schumacher not getting a single point. 2021, like it was crazy. Like not a point. 2022, they finally got some points on the board, but they only brought 1 update the entire year. One. And that was with the brand new car that they saved 2 years to invest in. And now it's 2023. They're saying they're going to bring regular updates. They might have a good season, guys.
That's what I'm saying.
It's going to be
a 4-way midfield fight.
And they got a Ferrari engine, which looks really strong. Ferrari's saying it's got a lot more power than last year, but
they've got 2 veteran drivers in there now.
Yeah.
They could end up
and they have a Hulk.
Points. Yes. And we have a Hulk. All right. Anybody else have any last minute things?
Oh, yeah. I want to quickly mention to the viewers about the open season curse, where since 2017, every driver that has finished first has gone on to finish second in the season.
So every driver that's finished first in the season opening race has gone on to finish second in the drivers?
In the drivers' championship. since
Oh.
2017.
So if you win the first race, you're not getting
Yeah.
that driver's championship. That's what you're
Nope.
saying. Okay, so
So
take that
everybody's
into
gonna be
account here.
If we have Max
Yeah.
Verstappen winning this race, so I think maybe Charles Leclerc could do it.
all right.
Interesting.
Well,
All right.
let's see what we're predicting for this race. Obviously, there's no Jared, and it doesn't matter because these predictions aren't worth any points this year. But we are going to make one prediction that's worth points, and that is for our new fantasy game, which if you haven't seen, go check out our YouTube and check out the draft that we made. So similar concept, though. We're going to be predicting who's going to finish in pole and then who's going to be on the podium, and then we're giving a wild card. Anybody want to go first?
Sure.
Anybody? Yeah, go for it.
So pole position, I have. I have Max. Yep.
Okay.
Max, and then I have Max to go on to win. Charles to finish second, so that would play into my fantasy. So
Okay.
Charles will finish second. And then Checo in third. And my wild card prediction is that Logan Sargent will outperform Piastri.
Oh,
Ooh. Nice.
I like that.
I like that.
Who
are you going to put for your fantasy driver? And where
Charles.
are they going to finish?
He'll be in second.
Charles in second?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Thank you.
Dylan, grip it
All
and
right.
rip it, baby.
Pole position, Max Verstappen. It's going to happen.
Mhm.
And he's also going to win. He's going to break that curse. I'm
Oh.
calling it. Or better yet, he's going to win just to give Ferrari the championship. So that's two reasons why I have him winning the race.
Yeah.
I've got also Charles Leclerc in second place. I've got Fernando Alonso in third place.
Wow.
That's happening. Yep. Wild card, Nick DeVries points debut again.
I love that, Dylan. I love that.
So much hope. So much hope. Yeah.
All right. What about
All
your
right, let's see
fantasy?
here. I had it written down, and of course, I just jotted down. I'm stalling. I'll just say that I'm stalling. All right. We've got Valtteri Bottas, seventh place.
Okay. I like
Alfa
it.
Romeo is going to be strong. Best
All
of the
right.
rest, first race.
I like it. I like it. All right. Actually, I do know Jared's fantasy pick, so I'm going to give that first. He has Max, and he's going to predict that Max finishes first. So that's going to be for his fantasy points.
Smart.
Exactly, Jeff. Exactly. For my predictions, I'm going with Mr. Saturday from last year, Charles Leclerc.
Nice.
Just habit stuff. That's just habit stuff. Verstappen's going to win, though. And then Leclerc going in second. Sergio Perez in third. My wild card is that Alonso is going to lead at least 2 laps of the race at some point. So look out for that.
Some intense pit stops.
Yeah, I think it'll probably happen in like a pit window. He'll end up being in first for a couple
or
of
his
laps.
Teammate crashes on purpose, and then Fernando pits earlier to get the lead of the race or something.
Exactly.
Just thoughts. Yeah.
Exactly. And so my fantasy prediction is Sergio Perez in third place. So
cool.
Okay, cool.
Any of those fantasy points hit, that earns us 5 points towards the fantasy season. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
It's
we're
pretty
back.
Cool. We are back. Woo.
It's gonna happen.
Only a couple days away.
Come on, Leclerc.
You only have to deal with us for 23 more race weekends, guys. And then a whole, I think, 9 in between those.
Summer.
There's not race weekends. So, and then the spring break, and then the summer break, and
then the fall break, and then the winter break.
And then second breakfast. And then,
Cool. Thanks for tuning in, you beautiful people.